This is a video demonstrating cupping techniques for the vertebral column and all of the surrounding tissue. This is not a regulated practice, so really anyone can do it. And how I describe it to my clientele is it's essentially the opposite of foam rolling and lacrosse ball rolling. You're pulling the tissue and moving it around, stimulating nerves. It can be really helpful for reduction of tone and also helpful for pain. So this is an introductory video to this method. If you have any questions, let me know. So using an oil like coconut oil or vegetable oil is the best for cupping. What I would recommend is starting just by feeling down the spinal cord and getting an appreciation to see if there's any restriction. If you really can't appreciate any restriction in the tissue, Scott's pretty good today. Probably some issue around here, but if you can't really feel anything, that's okay. You can just follow along where I'm placing these cups and then play around with it. So I'm going to start around T4 for Scott, which if you're landmarking, if you find the spine of the scapula, it's around there. If you're not able to find the spine of the scapula, I'd say it's probably about 2 hand widths down for where the neck meets the body. Apply 1 cup and add some suction. I usually start with 2 pumps of the cup and just moving it around here for Scott, just appreciating any feedback. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's always nice to ask whoever you're cupping if they feel okay. The second cup I'm gonna put on here is around the thoracolumbar junction. I find for most of the population, the thoracolumbar junction tends to get a little crusty, so it's not a bad place to start. To find the thoracolumbar junction, what you can do is landmark where the hips are, and then about 1 hand width up is probably around there. That feel okay? Mm-hmm. Great. Then I'm gonna do a sacral cup here for Scott. Did I call you Clark? No, I was just wondering, like, did I call you Clark? And then the last one I'm just putting right below the neck, the smallest one. Now I have a cup set of 4. Some cup sets come with upwards of 10. Scott doesn't really need this one. He's doing pretty good there, or he might need a bigger cup. In terms of what size you put on, it doesn't really matter so much, especially when we're working with such a small area. Whatever feels good, but the bigger cups are going to pick up more tissue. If you're really sensitive, you might want to play around with either bigger or smaller cups. There isn't any rules per se. Some people will say the big cup feels better. Some people will say the small cup feels better. And we want to keep this non-nociceptive, so it shouldn't be painful, or at least above a 4 out of 10. So what I'm just doing here is moving the cups around to stimulate the nerves. And really we can just leave it at that. The client on the table or the person on the table can practice their breathing, their diaphragmatic breathing, to really get into that parasympathetic nervous system. So breathing into the lower rib cage and on exhale, focusing on relaxing into the bed. Good. Now, for anyone with persistent pain or any stress-related pain, cupping around the thorax can be really helpful because there's a lot of sympathetic ganglion up here. So I'm just going to show a different cupping technique. So you can keep the cups how I've set up for about 10 or 15 breaths. And then what I'm going to do here is move one of the cups up right beside that T4. And then the other cup on the other side. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. And a really nice breath technique is thinking about breathing outwards here and then inwards like an accordion. So Scott, I want you to breathe in starting from the center where my hand is here. And as you breathe out, you want to expand outwards. and then just sink into the bed. Good. And I want you to focus on that breath technique as I work here. So you can do 1 cup at a time. I'm going to do 2 here as he breathes in, just moving down, and then as he breathes out, moving back. Really restricted on this right side or left side. Does this side feel crummy to you? No? Okay. Keep breathing there. So you can just hang out there. Now I'm actually going to take this cup off and grab the other cup. I'm just curious with Scott here, what's happening on this left side. So definitely he has some restriction here. It's feeling more like a lymphatic restriction or pooling of fluid than muscular to me, but we don't really know for sure, to be completely honest with you. I'm basically just assessing tension in the system in the back here and working through it. If you're doing this for a partner, really talking to each other can be helpful. And I'm doing little circles here. You can go up and down like this, but tends to not feel the greatest for a lot of people, so I prefer just little circles. Could be really nice for the nervous system. And just checking the other side here. Now there's some clinicians that will work with this, working towards lymphatic drainage points. How I use cupping is really just assessing tone and trying to reduce tone, so that's the lens I'm working through. And I'm just reassessing the spine here, and that's a lot better in his thoracic spine, and it really can be that quick, especially with the breath techniques. Really good. Great. Little bit of tone there, but I'm not going to address that on camera. I will after. So you can repeat the same thing, essentially working down the spine center and then moving outwards and up and down. So I'm just going to work on lumbosacral plexus here to finish off. So taking my biggest cup, I'm just going to place this where the sacrum meets the lumbar spine, around there. I could probably go a little bit lower for Scott here. I keep wanting to call you Clark. Clark's my son's name. You're Scott, not Clark. So just putting that there. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then placing 1 to the side and 1 to the other side here. I really want to get another cup set that has more cup sizes because I don't like when they're off. So Scott's feeling pretty good here. He's actually getting more restrictions centrally here than side to side, which is usually not what I see with Scott. So I'm actually going to remove these cups for him, but what you can do, I'll just demonstrate, is going down and back, okay? Now, how long to stay here? I really go by feel, but if you want a little bit more concrete guidance, you can instruct whoever's on the table to do 10 breaths, okay? Stay with 10 breaths and then move to a different area, all right? To summarize, you're starting with cups around T7, T4, TL junction, okay? And then down by the L5S1, right where the pant line is, okay? Doing some breaths there, really sinking into the bed, and then working at different spinal segments to help down regulate the nervous system. So I hope you find this helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know. Take care.